Previously on Glory Hunter. I took RB Leipzig to the Bundesliga title, winning the DFB Pokal and an incredible Champions League trophy as well. Putting 3 trophies into the Glory Hunter cabinet already at my first club. Now I'm moving on to Italy as Napoli came calling and offered me the job, taking over from an England-bound Jose Mourinho. Time to win some more trophies on this Glory Hunter challenge, and time for you to consider subscribing to the channel if you're loving this kind of thing. Okay, this Napoli squad is going to take a little bit of an overhaul, so hopefully I can do that probably within the first season or so. There are a lot of players in here who are unhappy, so what I am going to try and do is just really quickly turn over this club, which will probably mean January transfers will have to come in. So let's get some youth into the team. Let's get some pace. As you know, if you watch this channel, I love pacey players in this game. I think it makes a massive difference. There is not a lot of great players in this team currently. There's a lot of good central players. So I am putting 3 in the midfield with an attacking midfielder as well. I'm not putting a defensive midfielder just yet, although I might change that around. But I do have a defensive ball winning midfielder, which is one of my favorite positions in FM24 for a midfield defensive position to have as a ball winning midfielder. If you've got a really good one there, it really protects the back line. But if you have a look at some of the ages here, the keeper is 30, the right back is 34, although he's still pretty good. You got Zambo Agrisa, who's probably the best player in the team, but he's 31. Cucurella is 29. Paqueta is 30, Scamacca and Guri are 28 and 27 respectively, so not necessarily players that are out of their prime, they're in their prime, but there is a bit of age in the squad. So if we have some big bids come in, we're probably going to have to sell them and get in some young players. But let's move on for the season. The start of our season was diabolical, as we had 3 losses on the bounce against Parma, at home to Inter, and then away again to Lazio. But Giovanni Di Lorenzo got us off the mark for the season in the next game against Udinese, thanks to a lovely bit of build-up as we beat them 1-0. Our Champions League form was awful in the early part of the season, with 0-0 draws against Juventus and then Shakhtar at home, followed by a 4-3 loss away to Nice. We came back with a 2-0 win over Liverpool at home, and then a bad 3-0 loss at home to Bayer Leverkusen. Luckily, we didn't have to focus on that competition, but it would be nice to get back into some form, which is exactly what we did in December, as we didn't lose a game and only drew 1, with Benoit Badiashile finishing off the month with a header from a corner in a fantastic 5-1 win over Hellas Verona. I needed some more youth and pace up front, so I brought in a couple of youngsters from France in Custodio Moraes and Cyril Cheze, as a number of players wanted to leave the club, including Lucas Paqueta and Gianluca Scamacca. Torino would be our first opponents in the Coppa Italia, so we haven't been given an easy start at all. But 2 goals in extra time, from an own goal by Torino defender Brescianini, and then an Amin Guri goal in the second half of extra time, saw us through to the next round to take on Brescia. Our league form wasn't amazing, as we were 14 points off the title in 5th place, and we just managed to sneak through in the Champions League as we finished in 20th place in the league stage, where we would take on Barcelona. Jesper Lindström was our hero in the Coppa Italia quarter-final, as he scored in the 88th minute to seal the game 3-2 and take us through to the clash with Inter. Amazingly, Barcelona were no match for us, as we put 3 goals past the Spanish Giants, with Cyril Cheze showing his pace for the 3rd goal in a 3-0 win at home, which we defended well in the second leg to hold them to a 1-1 draw. And then Inter put the brakes on our European season, as they won both legs of the quarterfinal tie with a 2-1 win in Napoli, followed by a 3-0 humbling in Milan. March was looking like a bad month, as we lost 4 games in a row, including those fixtures against Inter, which means we are struggling in 7th place. We put up a much better fight in the Coppa Italia semi-final against Inter as well, this time with Jesper Lindström opening the scoring for us in a 1-1 draw in Milan. And in the second leg, we held on until the second half, when Benoit Badiashile scored from a corner for us to take the lead, followed by Jesper Lindström in the 95th minute, getting on the end of a cross by Youth Academy product Matteo Rotondo for a 3-1 win overall, and seeing us through to the final, where we would take on Roma. And those youngsters I signed from Caen in France proved vital for us, as Custodio Moraes scored in just the second minute of the game to put us ahead, before his mate Cyril Chetze headed home a second goal before halftime, for us to go on to win the Coppa Italia in the first season at the club, which was very much needed because our league form wasn't great. A late resurgence though in the league meant we finished in 5th place, but maybe that's a bad thing, as we now qualify for the Champions League and not the Europa League, which I really need to win for this challenge. But at the end of the season, let's put another trophy into the cabinet. I tell you what, during the season I was lucky to keep my job. So if you have a look at the past positions, it took a long time to get into the season. We did get up to 4th a couple of times, but then we kind of hovered between the 5th and 7th place. We still had Skamaka as the leading average rating, but of course he went out during the winter transfer window to a Saudi Arabian club because he wanted to leave the club and they paid a lot of money for him. So happy to let him go because then we can reinvest that money back into some younger players, which we already have, as you would have already seen. So in terms of the stats, we have Guri and Lindstrom as the top 2 goal scorers, but then it's fantastic to see Chetze and Moraes coming in from Caen in France, and they both scored 7 goals each, which is a really good effort for their ages, both 18 years of age, both using their pace to really good effect. And assist-wise, Ruggieri is the leading assist maker, and then Gilmore, Zambo Aguisa, and Lindstrom all got 8 assists as well. And as I said before, it's good to see Custodio Moraes getting himself up there. He had 5 assists for the season, so 12 goal contributions in 20 starts plus 3 off the bench. What a fantastic effort that is for an 18-year-old. He's going to be key for us in the upcoming years to see if we can get that Serie A trophy. And we're going to have to do something this summer in terms of selling off some of our older players because we only have £19 million there with a £400,000 per week wage budget left over. It's not a great amount of money to be spending on a team that's pushing for a title. So let's get rid of some of these older players with some high value. Let's get in some hungry young players with some pace and skill, and let's see if we can get the Serie A title. So we ended up getting plenty more money coming in. So to start off with, Alex Mere went out for £37 million to Al Ain. Isaac Hien went out for just under £7 million to Braga in Portugal. And then Buongiorno went out for £50 million to Inter. So this is the money that we are going to reinvest back into the club. There was no chance of Buongiorno staying. He in fact had a loan out to Inter before I was even a manager at the club. So nothing I can do, but fantastic to get £50 million for him. Both Di Lorenzo and Lindstrom had made their minds up that they weren't signing new contracts. Again, nothing I could do. That basically it happened before I came into the club, so out they go. Pepe went out to Alcadia for up to £32 million. David Neres went out to Alvara for up to £7.5 million. And Zambo and Guisa went out to Al Ittifaq for £29 million. The final one there was one I probably didn't really want to do, but Amin Gori went out to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia for £20 million. Okay, so let's go through all these players. So Mohamed Darami is coming in. I know I don't play wingers, but he can play up front. I'm going to retrain him as an attacking midfielder as well, so he can be a backup in that position. He's coming in for free, so this is a no-lose situation for us. Simone Profundi is coming in for £9.5 million from Udinese. I don't know how we got him for this cheap. This guy is fantastic for his age, just 22 years of age, already played a cap for Italy, and he is going to be a key player for us this season. Guillaume Restes is coming in from Toulouse. He is going to be our main goalkeeper for this season with Schlenina as his backup. Obviously, Alex Mere has gone out, so in comes Guillaume Restes. We've got a really good new gen here called Hakim Ouakrim. He's coming in from Rennes. He's already played a couple of games for us so far. This guy looks fantastic. His mentals are already really good. So he's going to be a key player for us in the middle of the park, probably the main backup for those 3 positions we have. Another new gen player here, Matisic. He's a Polish player who's come from Borussia Dortmund. He looks really good already as well. Again, a nice little backup for our players in central midfield and in the attacking midfield spot. David Ponzio is coming in from Atalanta. Again, someone who's got some really good pace and acceleration for his age. He can play either left back or defensive midfield. He's probably going to be our backup left back for us at the moment. We are really transforming this squad. Here's Kilian Klaus. He is coming in. He can be a right back, centre back or defensive midfielder. He is going out on loan to Lens for the season where we bought him from. But once he comes back, I think he will just about be first team ready. If not, then he will be the first one in for those positions. It took a couple of stabs at it, but we managed to get Ivan Fretznader into the side. Really good pace on this fella as our starting right back now, with Di Lorenzo going out on free. So we got him in from buyout Leverkusen, who had got him from Tottenham previously. Someone else that I did bring in was Karim Konate. So I had brought him in during the winter transfer window last year and got stung by the non-EU player rule in Italy, even though I had sold just about every single one of my non-EU players. But come the changeover seasons, I was able to register him, so he is now a part of the side, and this guy is looking incredible. So we have changed up the tactics just a little bit, and I have dropped that central midfielder back down to a defensive midfielder, so we've got a defensive ball-winning midfielder there. So we have then the central midfielder on attack and a box-to-box midfielder with a shadow striker now. So with that best 11, you see Konate going up front with Marias, his partner. Pafundi is the shadow striker. Restes goes into the goal, and Fretznader, of course, goes on as the fullback on attack. So I'm going to put the right one on attack and the left one on support, because I have the central midfielder on attack on that left-hand side, just making sure they don't get in each other's way. So hopefully with this young team, this really quick team, I think we should have a really good dig at the Serie A title this season. Let's go forward in the video. Our start in Serie A for this season was much better, as we had wins over Bologna, Monza away from home, and at home to Fiorentina. September was a perfect month for us in both the league and the Champions League, including this 4-2 win away from home to Lazio, where Karim Konate scored in the 44th minute, thanks to a long cross from Rendal Correa. And then Rendal Correa was the provider again in the 66th minute for his third assist of the game, and Konate's second goal of the game to seal the victory for us. Up until the start of December, we had only lost once in any competition, a 1-0 loss away from home to Inter in October, which means we were sitting in second on the table within striking distance of that very team. We then went on to qualify in second place in the league phase of the Champions League, as we managed 6 wins and 2 draws, putting us just 2 points behind Real Madrid. We also started destroying a couple of teams, as Parma was on the end of a 6-0 hiding from a young, quick Napoli side, as Custodio Moraes opened the scoring in just the 4th minute as part of a double for him. And Pafundi finished things off with a minute to go with a simple tap-in. And towards the end of January, it was Spezia's turn to ship plenty of goals to us, as once again Marias and Pafundi got themselves on the score sheet, both with a brace as part of a 7-2 win. They were forming quite a partnership as they set each other up for each other's goals. Man City were our opponents in the Champions League in the round of 16, and it went just as well as the last time I played them in the knockout competition with Leipzig. They battered us 4-1 in Manchester, with Erling Haaland opening the scoring for them. And although we put 4 goals past them in Napoli, with Konate scoring himself a brace, it wasn't enough, as we lose 6-5 overall on aggregate thanks to this goal from Erling Haaland in the 76th minute. A 4-2 win at home couldn't get the job done. But we had league football to concentrate on now, and despite a 4-1 loss away to Atalanta at the start of March, our front line was usually scoring for fun, including Karim Konate getting himself a hat-trick away to Lecce in a 4-1 win for our boys. Konate pounced on some sloppy work for the second goal here, and then in the second half, he slotted his hat-trick after a lovely pass from Hakim Ouakrim. With 7 games to go, we were now top of the table by a point from Inter and 5 goals clear on goal difference. April was a perfect month, with 5 wins from 5 games, including a big 3-1 win over Milan at home. And on the second last game of the season, we hosted Sassuolo, and again Karim Konate got himself on the score sheet early with a header. In the second half, Fretznader played another lovely ball across the box for Konate to get on the end of his second, and 4 minutes later, Konate slotted another one home for his hat-trick goal as part of an 8-0 thumping of the northern Italian side. And then Juventus tried to crush our dreams, with this Douglas Luiz effort being the only goal that separated the two sides to beat us on the final day of the season 1-0. Which meant we finished equal on points with Inter. And of course in Italy, despite us having the better goal difference, This means we go into a playoff to see who takes home this Serie A title. We hosted Inter in the first leg, and young Portuguese striker Custódio Moraes opened the scoring with an incredible goal in the 33rd minute. He backed this up in the second half, finishing off a great team move for his second goal of the game. And in the 96th minute, he tapped in his hat-trick goal as we put 5 past Inter to beat them 5-2 in the first leg. And despite Inter putting 3 goals past us late on in the second leg, we held on for a 7-5 win and secure the Serie A trophy in our second season in Italy. This young and pacey side has helped us put both trophies in Italy into the cabinet as we take another step closer to completing the challenge. Well, what a wonderful, eventful season that one was. I can't believe we almost got stung by the playoff rule in Italy rather than just winning the league on goal difference because we were 7 ahead of Inter. But of course Italy doesn't do that, so we go by the rules here and we managed to beat them in the playoff in one hell of a good playoff tie, 7-5. So looking at the league stats, we had Moraes, Konate and Cheze up in the average rating. So Moraes and Cheze were fantastic for me this season, and of course Karim Konate got himself 21 goals. So let's have a look at Moraes, finishing of 17, pace and acceleration of 16, with agility of 17, and off the ball of 16, technique of 16. This guy is 19 years old, he's a Wonderkid, has scored 19 league goals for us in 46 games so far, mainly playing as that deep lying forward for us. Cyril Cheze was coming off the bench for us mainly. He probably has less of those outstanding stats compared to his mate Moraes, but he is very solid across the board. He's got good pacing, acceleration and agility, great aggression and determination. This is a guy that I was so happy to bring into the club, along with his mate Moraes, have helped transform the club up front. And then if we look at those squad stats for us, so Karim Konate got 27 goals in just 35 starts. What a fantastic season that is. Pafunde with 21, Moraes with 19, Cheze with 14. Billy Gilmore has been wonderful for the club. He scored 11. And Pajacic scored 10, so he was another player that I managed to bring in last year's winter transfer window. And for the assists, Pafundi with 12, 33 goal contributions, wonderful. Ruggieri with 12 as well, and Fresneda with 10. Great contributions from so many players across the board. A lot of greens there in the average rating as well. What a wonderful season this has been. But of course, we have won both the Coppa Italia and the Serie A title. So you know what that means I have to do? Resigning from the club immediately. And of course, Napoli has thrown a spanner in the works by saying that they want me to stay on. I have no interest in that. It's time for me to leave. And see you later. And if we have a look at some of these positions that are available, Fulham is probably the most interesting one, so we are going to apply for that job. Leeds are a team that's gone down, so I'm not going to go for them. Granada, again, they've gone down. No, thank you very much. Santa Clara have gone down as well. Chavez, not interesting for me. I don't think. 15th place, only 3-star club rating for their reputation. I'm just not going to be able to get enough players into that club to be able to do anything with them. So if we don't get anything from Fulham, we will just hang out until some of the other clubs start coming calling. And after an incredible run in Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti parted ways with the club, and I put my hand up to take on the biggest team in the world, and was promptly rejected as they went back to the well with a legend of the club in Zidane. But I spied a job in Spain that looked very appealing, and they were in the Europa League as well. Not only that, but they are the Europa League specialists, having won it a record 7 times. It was time to apply for the job at Sevilla, and in early July 2028, I was the new manager of the club, looking to add some trophies in Spain as well as the Europa League to my glory hunter cabinet.